Please stand for anthem. Be seated for amazing deals on various flooring materials. And continuation of the boat. Previously, we went and free-handed on the other side of the camo ski. And off camera, I've gone and masked up the vessel on the old cone of shame to get ready to apply the there's a dark stripe that belongs just along the water line very thinly and separates the upper regular painted parts from the stark red underside of the boat. So we're going to be getting that line along and do it masked rather than continuing to dare to dabble in the freehand, since that is also just the sharp edge at the bottom of the camo scheme. So it'll be good to have that very cleanly on the ship to work against. Since it has to be the one continuous straight line down both sides of the vessel, rather than being a series of relatively small, discrete shapes that you can try to fine-tune. Anyway, go ahead and get ready to do that, and a little clogged in the various breathing tubes today, so there's going to be a bit less speech out of me over the course of this session. No shortage of painting, though, and no shortage of miscellaneous English classical. Enjoy. I'm just going to apply the colors to the palette, one at a time, even though I know the set which I intend to apply. I'll just not bother leaving any out, drying off, and starting to develop film until they're needed. Alright, so the maker of this video, which I've put on there, say... Alright, actually, the title itself only claims miscellaneous classical. Very well. We'll be hearing a sampling from all over. I went looking for specifically English, but perhaps there is just a shortage of relevant composers. More of a continental thing. At the scale of this thing, the line I'm intending to throw down is so like about half to a third of the width of this brushstroke I'm laying on here. So it may end up left a bit thicker, I should say. Dramatic exaggeration, or more likely, it's just going to be kind of bisected with its own layer of shameful masking as I go about laying the undercoating. Which itself is something that feels like it'll deserve its own pass to be done properly. So I don't have to worry about anything like running or bubbling or oozing about. Leave everything appropriately verted while its given section is drying. Although the final undercoating is itself going to be very convenient to work with. It's just largely one very sizable, open, flat area of homogeneous shade. The only complication I'm anticipating there is that I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of mixing to achieve the exact level of reddishness I want. I think it should be a little darker and a little, like, richer than than what I have for a base red. That is sort of the joy of working with paint. And you're capable of customizing it on the spot as needed. As long as you have a few of the right, just core ingredients. You can do as you please. Yeah, working with the underside is just going to be a matter of overall base, which angle thusly for public viewing. Yeah, just overall base and then quick touches to pretty up the propellers there. But that's another color that I still need to hunt down. Just get something glossy to serve for metallic bits. Nice shiny bronze, brass. Paints to make plastics look more like metal. Yeah. This stuff has been very well behaved everywhere else I've used it, so Not expecting to need multiple passes really, so just go ahead and smooth out what's there so that it will lay comfortably on the model, and then just let this side start to settle down. Flip her over. Let's take a look at where it even rests when I lay it down. A little bit of a line, but just a bit. That it seems like it's more off of the tape than off of the hull itself. This stuff starts to set quite quickly. It's very professional like that. My fingers are much more willing to bind with damp paint than all of these deals on flooring. Very cooperative fingers. Skin, nature's canvas. And the old masked on layers from this side of the pattern. I mean, there are more ridges over here. Those need a bit more attention in order to make sure they've been properly coated in the new stuff. They can be prevented by better handling of future projects. Could be agonized over and tried to grind down and correct them in the current one, but why not just move forward? As long as the lessons learned, that's what's important. Leave it as a reminder where this will begin. Oh well, put the other side. Up. Here's the newsprint, it's looking alright. Other advantage of the material being worked with setting quickly, you know, little Mars like that on the hand, that's already dry. Remember, the thinner it is, the faster it dries out, so that's certainly something to be cleared off. But it's not going to cross-contaminate anything just off my hand. And with that in place, go ahead and strip off this masking belt. I can find an appropriate weak point to start tearing it from. Refitted the boat with a powerful belt of tape armor. Turn this back down now that it's stopped being wet. Breathe, good friend Small Knife. You will create the opportunity I need. I was really reaching the point where you have to cut your masking off. Just a sign of how well it was put together in the first place. Provided a nice, solid defense. As we learned, 2 layers. Sure that you won't have anything just bleed through it. Come on. There we go. And the other concern during this phase that can be worked on during touch-ups and reconfiguring. So of course, this was a time where I was attempting to create a straight line across a curved surface by laying another straight surface on top of it, and so some degree of bending and warping was necessary. And some of the natural points of reference one would use to keep oneself aligned not quite where they should be. Fortunately, what that means for us is just that up around the bow, you can see it. Our water line is kind of curving down. But everywhere else, it has stayed quite straight. By and large, there's a... At the back here, it kind of seems like it moves up, but that's more a consequence of it, you know, overlapping with places where the camo pattern was black. Yeah, we just have a bit of a droop to push back until it meets up with the rest of the pattern. Just a smidge. No, I should conspire to work at that with my right hand, since it is an important line that we're trying to sort out and clean. No offhanding of that boat line. There. An angle that's not great for audience viewing, but sometimes that has to be sacrificed for the sake of preserving the integrity of the boat. Ability up to there. Very little gentle swipes. Another concern to keep in mind as I examine the thing is whether these two lines actually ended up at the same level on their respective sides of the boat. And it certainly looked the case when I was getting all of the tape laid out, but at the scale you're working with and the level of contrast that will exist between dark and light areas, it can suddenly leap out at you, even a very slight difference. Simple changes in coloration, turning fractions of a millimeter into exactly the sort of deliberate asymmetry we need to confound the enemy. Innovative camouflage pattern that prevents them from assessing our course, speed, or current weight. There we go, that's improved. The brightness there is no longer like very visibly. Yeah, there. Okay. So with those settled, I could start to assail the bottom, but really, since that's something I would need to leave the ship inverted or on its side for the drying, it would cut me out of trying to chip away at anything else. Whereas the other thing that I have on the agenda for this session would not suffer that constraint, so it will go first. Finally, I'm going to cut these cranes free. And give them some attention. So at this point, I now have 2 backer suggestions for things to incorporate into the decoration of this boat. I like both of them, and have figured out where one of them could nicely go. The other will need a bit of working on for some supporting stuff. There's one that can be implemented right away. Just need to finish unwrapping this crane. Damned excessive masking. Also masking that's been sitting there for like a week. Or 2. Quite a while, just firmly drying into place. There. Get that cruft out of the way. So, one of the suggestions presented, I've recognized, would fit quite nicely onto our seaplane deck there in the middle. And is one of the areas left to be worked with, so get ready to give that a working on. Seaplane itself, deck itself, added to the list of things that I perhaps should have attempted to paint before assembling them, but what are you gonna do? This is where we live now. Prisoners of causality. While I have that out, I can also conduct some degree of touch-up to some relevant zones. Up with a little bit of you. Because the goal that we have for the flight deck, in order to further confound the enemy and protect the vessel, is that while the rest of our profile is certainly going to baffle and astound and misdirect, our dear little seaplane is going to very distinctly stand out as not part of the structure of any boat or boat-like object. So we're going to try a different angle. We're incorporating that into our defense scheme. Plane lines up nicely there. The other one is going to end up crosswise, so this crane gets the full blue. As we prepare to construct ourselves a bit of devious diplomatic camo. I'll let the top of that dry completely before trying to poke at other sides of it. It is a free-floating part that I need to... yeah, I can just get at the tip here. I'm gonna hold it down so I can get the side. So, the strategy to put into effect in the event that we are observed from the air while operating the seaplane is that the vessel will make efforts to pass itself off the perfectly ordinary Swedish airport. Roving the high seas as they are known to do. So our opponent may grow suspicious. You would dare to call our bluff if it meant risking angering the Swede. Kind of impressed about how well this brush is sneaking under the seaplane. Forming well. And that's just the working model within the limitations of the appropriate naval treaties. Supposing that they are not renewed by the time this vessel sees combat, we can escalate to our more potent strategy of having the flight deck declared a Swedish embassy and thus neutral ground. Our enemy would have to be truly foolish to engage our aircraft in such a scenario. Powerful diplomatic advantages. All right. Do a quick washing off. And on to the next. Here's another light color. This is going to need several passes in order to be sure that it comes in strongly against the deck and so forth. Various blues, grays, and blacks have all performed well in the face of coating, but the pale stuff, the white, the yellow, that needs a bit of diligence. That is starting to dry. Just exactly down the middle of you, right where you cross. Over there. Just to preserve the illusion. Yeah, that applies terribly. That will need many a coat. Fortunately, that also means it'll be easy to skim back. Go ahead and dab it on prodigiously. Adjustment will occur afterwards. Workspace for this has just been my desk, so not particularly vast. It is largely what can be seen right here on camera. I have a bit of shelving space there where I have been storing the boat in between. A bit more shelf off camera in that direction where I've been keeping, you know, unused tools and paints and so forth. Yet further shelf where the box is kept when it's not being interacted with. Overall, this thing hasn't needed an area much larger than its own footprint at any given time. Getting the yellow onto the blue. That's tricky. I'm just sort of trying to extract some of the excess paint from inside of the, the notches in the catapult here. Well, the railing of which the catapult is a part. The bird launcher. Being on the lookout for places that I can touch up with this blue while I have it out. There are a few. There's also a level of uncleanliness that I'm just willing to accept at this point. Cost of doing business. As within tolerance for the first time kit. And that's an important internal leap to make when getting into hobbies such as these. That you don't have to strive for some sort of strange, unreal, absolute state of perfection. Quality is itself is beheld. Comes right down to it, you just have to ask, do you like what you've made? Do you feel it was worth your time? Someone else liked it as well, that's a bonus. They enjoyed it enough to make some sort of regular financial contribution to a collective pool that's used to support the continuation of it. That's nice too. Yeah, getting a lot of blending there. Try and finish drawing before continuing any chromatic surgery. That's a good starting pass on all of that. Moment to settle down. Looking fairly well overall. See that that aligns properly. Viewed from above. Have to go in thicker with the yellow on the crane. It's finally starting to assert itself properly. The lighter colors, you also get some of the more drastic difference between how they look wet or dry. Alright, so this last unspoken for brush. Let me go ahead and grab the blues from side A. So the dab of that. I have some sections I can clean up. Sides join. Yeah, a lot of things are looking pretty acceptable overall in terms of the shapes going into place. Well into the point where I look at an area and think, well, there's nothing I could try to adjust here that wouldn't just counter-bork something on the other side an equal amount. You just choose your poison. About as large an area to cover. This is more rapidly converging on watch paint dry. Not too much wrong with that though. The whole goal with all of these additional sessions was to just do exactly that. Take jobs that could not be elegantly strung together and spread them out. And packed them into a reasonable amount of real time. Go ahead and bring some white onto the field. That also has several points where it went on a little thin. Just use that bit of reinforcing. More points were just little blotches of other things snuck onto it. The occasional dab and dollop. Thin bits like the cannons are going to be especially prone to just shrugging off paint. Continuing struggle between light and dark pigments across the front of the boat. Inevitable consequence of choosing to have that just pointer there in the pattern. Right up on the edge, right between our ends of the spectrum. All or nothing. Ready to accept further efforts. Just want to be sure that these come in very sharp and very bright. Especially from above. The rails are providing a nice guide for their portion of things. Cross stripe, particularly where it has to intermingle, it might be to my benefit to do a little bit of further masking, just like a wrap around the crane arm and then like something covering the wings on a small scale. Yeah, it's just kind of an all over the place mix video. And hours of old music people have heard of. Alright, so once these cranes, either of them is in a state where I feel safe letting, well, really both of them are in a state where I feel safe letting them flop over. Yeah, that one's fine. Just needs to be dry around the tips so that it can make contact with something cleanly. I have those in line, I can just lay the boat on its side. And this is still a little fresh. Give it a moment. And I will lay it on its side and throw a bunch of red on the bottom. Just a test layer to get a feel for how the red I have looks with respect to how boat red should. So, as a little sampler to assess. I picked this stuff up as a candidate for color of hull, but it may serve just as well for filling out regular deck. Just do a little sample section in that and see how it looks when it dries. If not, it's no loss, since I'm already orchestrating a supply run in order to pick up something, you know, shiny and metallic to throw on the screws. I have a lot of these. They come in packs. No shortage of welds. Tiny packets. Persistent weird fan noise sounds like your first step would be to clean it out. Get an air duster and just give it a rush. Computers accumulate a lot of dust, and that dust hampers their ability to cool themselves with air. It is a very bad thing, but then also a very easily fixed thing, if that is the case. Let them breathe. These brushes have been other colors today, but not really too worried about contamination from most of them. First, continue to pad some time. I'll just do sampler of this stuff. See how well it does for deck coloring. I expect I'd have to hunt down a more conventional light brown. Alright. This might do a full start there. It is kind of orange there. Okay, ready. It definitely seems like it's brighter than I would want on the underhill. Either way, this is just a taste. Quick little... Nowhere. No limits. No commitments. So, the underboat. For which, a larger brush. Especially since, again, this is largely a color test, and if I'm not satisfied with how it dries, I'll then have a chance to switch up to something else. Yeah, right away, this is, well, who knows, maybe if I darken it slightly. Looks more red than actual red on camera. Put real red on there, no one's gonna know what it is. Before I go masking out the fine details of exactly where I'm gonna cut this off before the waterline. This is just a taste. Not even our final color scheme. I'm also wondering if I have anything I could, like, lodge the boat in to balance it on its head. But without the antenna, just the tip of the mast is a relatively decent face. The various unbound guns have naturally popped off, but that's expected. That's a feature now. This stuff is going on very bright, but seems to almost immediately start to darken once it hits surface. Who knows, this may just be our candidate on its own. Perhaps by using smooth water lines, everyone else has just been giving away to the enemy the exact position of their whole geometry. By further reducing the regularity of the vessel, we confound the enemy and improve survivability. An enemy is defeated when they have lost the will to fight. So we should optimize all of our fighting equipment to attack the enemy's morale directly. Your size of the surface, giving you a unique opportunity to take some very long strokes. Kind of a helpful indicator for where the various lines belong. All the propellers are completely underwater, thus inside of the red zone. Kind of sets your nice limit for where you know you have to cut off from the separating line. Go full underside. Final divider is going to be quite slim. Neither of those are problems. Submarines cannot look up, and mermaids are colorblind. The eyes of the merfolk. This is indistinguishable from the pleasant blue-green of the sky. Through the sea. It seems like it's reaching that point where I'm just pushing the same paint around the surface. Keep coverage on all the areas that should definitely be reddened in the end. Yep. So, yeah, mostly. See if the well has a little more to spare to just... yeah, bonk in the nose there. that's a fair start. This averted gives me a new perspective on some of the cranes. The undersides could use a bit of work. Gives me something to do while I hold this upside down for some minutes. And the undersides of these cranes even escaped the initial sprayed-on base coat. They're still raw plastic color. Adventurous fellows. I don't know much about airbrushing. At a glance, it seems like most of what would dictate how well airbrushing would work on this would be a matter of being able to produce appropriate stencils for whatever design one intended to apply. Gently. Especially for something this small. Airbrushing on a larger surface might be something that one does more open-handedly. But it's an aspect of the arts I've not dabbled in and really wouldn't want to pursue until I have like a reasonable setup in a garage or on a deck in a yard. And the appropriate gear to share the results with others. That red is looking increasingly appropriate for the situation. I'm gonna go ahead and give that second coating right away while we're here. First, creating a firmly masked edge later, we get cleaner results out of going wild with the red and then just trimming it back with the black. Well, that could result in a wider than intended dividing line between the zones. Whatever. It's not deal-breaking. If anything, it's deal-sequeling. The deal is augmented. I was just thinking about the integrity of this thing as a prop to have around. I'd probably just leave the radio antennas off entirely. I will make some attempt to reattach them. They claim to belong here. Definitely parts of this that are taking to it better than others. All in the curvature. There we go. I've achieved diminishing returns on this pass. I'm not sure which heavy vehicle is passing through the neighborhood today, but it is well on its way to doing business. Whatever large object it must move, we'll get there. Alright. Hold this steady for some minutes. Are we ready to move aside? Conducted a fine session. Also, miscellaneously, it's all dried on well enough that it's not going to start dripping at me if I flip it over. Shouldn't. Turn the ship back over and take a look at how that, yeah, it's kind of more of an orange than what I'm looking for. And, lighter brown to be able to throw on there. With a bit of mixing, maybe some whitening that might behave. Might settle for a good top of vessel foundation. And after all the like load-bearing surface colors are in, I'll go around and do a bunch of fine poking of the little bits, all the tiny cannons, all the spotlights, all the... Well, probably not the missile racks, actually. They can afford to just be whatever color they're surrounded with. Let's see, I put it down briefly. That resulted in a fine boatish smear. Also, finally proven how well the coat I have is holding on. Bit of smoothing. That. I think we're about ready to Let her down. A fine day's boat.